time is approximately forever.
We cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
We appreciate you waiting and waiting. What is it you're waiting for? Do you even know anymore?
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Disconnected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Make sure you guys like the stream down below. If you're new or not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to be getting to the people later on. We're going to be taking calls. But Donald Trump, this weekend, he raised $51 million rounding up at a fundraiser in his own house. He didn't have to go to New York and have Bill Clinton and Obama and all these celebrities. And he still doubled the Biden fundraiser total. He said he would raise $33 million. He ended up getting pledges for, I would say, close to double that. And this is absolutely huge, raising $50.5 million. That's going to cut in to that Biden cash advantage. Make no mistake about it. He definitely is remaining competitive. This is a very, very good sign for Donald Trump. And a lot of people said he would not have any cash. He'd be going broke. Well, you look at what's happening right now. Donald Trump is remaining competitive in the money department, and that's something that is very good. He also has a fundraiser that is going to be taking place in the state of Georgia, in the Atlanta area, in a week or two as well. That's likely going to bring in a decent amount of money. So the people that claim that Donald Trump is not, going to be able to make any money from donors this campaign cycle and that he's doomed because of it, they're wrong. They're proven wrong like they've been wrong about literally everything. And so many people on the right, mainly on the internet, are making these claims too, but they might as well just get on board because every argument they make keeps collapsing. The next narrative is Trump can't win because he went down by 1% in the aggregate, and it's over for Blumpf because he went down. And it's like he still is leading the popular vote in RCP. He's still the favorite. He's up in every swing state except Pennsylvania, and they have a weird poll there. The third-party poll shows Trump getting a higher vote share than the regular poll. That doesn't exactly make any sense whatsoever. So you could throw that in the garbage. He's up in enough states to get 312 electoral votes. He's in a very good position. He just needs to get out there and build up the turnout apparatus. The RNC needs to do their job, and they've started to do their job. They weren't fundraising under Ronna Romney McDaniel. Now that she's out of the picture, Trump's numbers are up, their numbers are up, and even these down-ballot candidates like Kari Lake does a fundraiser, raises $1 million for Senate. That's not a really bad figure for a one-night Senate fundraiser, and that set the record for any Mar-a-Lago down-ballot fundraiser. Blew it out of the water. So now that the bad actors are out of the picture, you see the tides turn. You see a lot of people who may not have wanted to give money to a lost cause start to reconsider and give money to the RNC. And also, it doesn't mean that we don't need to do our part as well. We're not going to just have donors run this campaign that are, mega donors in the donor class. It's also up to the American people to do their part, which is why I have in chat, the pin chat, we have the Trump donation link. If you guys want to send me a super chat and you can afford to donate the same amount to Trump, do it. If you just want to give Trump some money and you don't really want to send a super chat, fine. That's more important for the sake of our country. But still, make sure that if you guys super chat, but you have enough money where you can match it, double that figure, go donate it to Trump while you're at it. He needs the money. We have enough people here in this channel to impact the election. If every subscriber sent Trump, let's say $20, he would be making a few more million. That could easily go a long way in certain states. Also, on top of it, if every subscriber to this channel got out 5 people who were previously a non-voter and you got them out to vote for Donald Trump, what would that exactly do? That would net Donald Trump close to 1 million votes nationally. And what that also would do is it would give him enough votes most likely to go out there and win the election. He'll flip enough votes to the point where it doesn't really seem like what could happen would really make a difference. So it all comes down to turnout. It all comes down to the numbers, which is why fundraising is so important. And it's why it's a very good thing that Donald Trump is going out there and is raking in the money, and the RNC's raking in the money, because now you have leadership who cares about getting things done. You don't have Ronna Romney McDaniel, who just so badly wanted a job at NBC of all places, and then, even then she was too conservative for them, and they threw a temper tantrum, and they got rid of her. Good riddance for the wrong reasons, but still, that's absolutely just insane. And she bled the RNC of all of its resources, left it dead broke. But already in the 2 months, that she's gone, not even, now you look at the RNC, and the RNC is competitive with the DNC, which speaks volumes because the donor class is largely in the bed at this point with the Democrat Party. It doesn't mean we don't have enough money to remain competitive. It doesn't even mean spending in politics is everything. But still, 1 to 2 months, she's out of the picture. You're already back. The GOP is back. The RNC is back. And people are more inclined to give money to them because they know it's not going to be wasted. And that's a very good thing. You have these fundraisers. You have donors coming home from other campaigns in the primary that probably never should have really been a thing in the first place. And it shows that, even a lot of the people that were behind Nikki Haley that happen to be, former Trump donors, they're back in his column. He's not losing support. He's not losing money to Joe Biden. We don't like a lot of these rhinos and neocons, but we need all hands on deck to get this thing done. If rhinos endorse Trump, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they can't do that, because they do have some influence over some people. Doesn't mean I want them in his inner circle, but we'll do a great deal of purity testing probably come, January of 2025, if not just after the election, more so than now. That's how Democrats operate. Republicans need to do the same thing because they're winning with whatever they're doing. We haven't been winning in a very long time. So there's that. On top of it, we have to talk about this other story that broke about Joe Biden. Speaking about Biden blunders, Joe Biden may not make the ballot in Ohio. Now, this is not clickbait. This is objectively reality. He might not make the ballot because the DNC is going to be taking place in late August, but Democrats won't be nominating him until August 19th formally. But Ohio's deadline has been August 7th. So what this means is that Biden may not be able to make the deadline, which is absolutely huge in the state of Ohio. This is not like Colorado or Maine, because the left will come and say, oh, you're being hypocrite. First of all, I don't care if Biden's not in the ballot in any state. I'm not going to, try to pretend like I'm this principled individual, because we know what they want. They want Trump off the ballot. If Biden's off the ballot, good. I think it's fair game. But that's not what this is about. This is about Biden missing an objective deadline. If he was actually able to go out there and, I guess you would say miss the ballot, it wouldn't be because it's Republican interference in the elections. Trump's going to win Ohio regardless, that we know. But still, this is huge because you have three House races that are remotely competitive, that if Donald Trump is going to win the state by 30 because a lot of Biden voters don't show up because he's not on the ballot, well, that means that you're going to see what happens there. There's going to be down ballot effects that are going to help out Republicans. On top of that, you can look at the Senate race. Sherrod Brown, if Biden is not on the ballot, is even more dead on arrival than he already is. Right now, you may say he has a fighting chance, 20%, whatever. It's still low. That doesn't mean that we have to be complacent, but it's a very low chance in all electoral reality that Sherrod Brown is going to win re-election. There's basically none. But if Biden's off the ballot, it's going to get a lot worse for him. Now, do I expect this to hold? Probably not. I mean, if we're going to be completely honest, it seems as if they'll find a way. They'll put lawsuits forward. Who knows what's exactly going to happen when it's all said and done. But either way, this is Biden and the DNC's incompetence more so than it is, Republicans are trying to kick Biden off the ballot. It has to do with the fact that he's not going to be able to meet the deadline. So either they're going to have to move up their convention before August 7th, or there's going to be some long, drawn-out legal battle that will be, wasting Democrat resources trying to get Biden to be on the ballot. And fine, let them drain their resources. It's even better for us if they do that. So I don't know what this fully is going to entail. Biden probably is going to be on the ballot, but just the fact that there might be a chance that he misses out, yeah, if Biden's not on the ballot, Republicans likely pick up a House seat or two based off of that fact alone, and Sherrod Brown is going to go down for certain. We're going to know right now. I mean, if Biden, we found out, is not going to be on the ballot, no chance at all, yeah, Sherrod Brown is really going to struggle in that case, because if you just have 20 or 30,000 Biden voters stay home because of that, and that's a very conservative estimate, no pun intended, then it would be extremely difficult for Sherrod Brown to even stand a chance. He already doesn't stand a chance. Trump is going to win the state by around 10, most likely, and Sherrod Brown would be lucky to have the race be within 3 points or so. He's the most overrated incumbent that we know. 2012 got Obama's percentage margin in the state of Ohio. The third-party candidate was not a left-wing third-party candidate. They were more right-wing than left-wing. And you saw what happened there. He barely outperformed Obama even on a net margin basis. What's going to make you think he's going to go out there and outperform Biden by 10 points. I mean, we know Biden's unpopular. We know Brown probably has some crossover appeal, but it's going to likely be Moreno at the end of the day who comes out on top and wins, regardless if Biden's going to be on the ballot or not. But either way, you can expect them to waste resources trying to keep Biden on the ballot in the state of Ohio, which again, he's not going to win regardless. If Democrats spend a ton of money on Ohio and Iowa and Florida and maybe to a lesser extent North Carolina, and obviously Texas is a big one, if they're going to try to really get cocky and greedy when they're down literally everywhere and spend their money in those deep blue states that are deep red states or even leaning likely red states that are very hard to flip, it's a waste. It'd be like if Trump was spending all this money in New Mexico, Oregon, Minnesota. He did that in the early part of the 2020 election cycle, mainly in 2019. And while true that it was a different time before the pandemic hit, he was never likely going to win any of those states. Maybe you could make a case for Minnesota, but even then, that's a little bit of a stretch. Donald Trump would not, he would be ridiculed right now if he was going to say that he was going to contest these states. Not just say it, because we always know he says things. He's, oh, we're going to win New York and New Jersey. But if he spent a ridiculous amount of money in the state of New York, the way that Democrats are doing in Florida right now, he would get a lot of flack for that. And I can't say that it wouldn't entirely be warranted if you're going to just be burning money. The only difference is with Trump, there's a lot of flippable House seats in New York. And the fact that he might be able to do better there might actually warrant some resources being spent there. I think that if you're to spend in like a media market, yeah, there's some, northeastern Pennsylvania overlap with a lot of the populated area of New York State's media market. So that would actually serve a benefit for Donald Trump, more so than Biden spending in Florida, where even if you perform well, you're not winning any House seats in Florida. There's really not any competitive House seats that he's going to be able to flip, especially given the trends in the state and this whole like abortion being on the ballot thing. It's not going to move the needle nearly as much as some of these people think it will. It's just not. I mean, yes, it is true that these referendums have mainly benefited the pro-abortion side and will likely continue to do so. And it might energize some liberals to get out and vote who may not have been willing to, but just the voter registration statistics, basically every single metric points to a victory. 5 points would be very narrow for Trump in Florida. I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 10. I think high single digits is where I have him at right now, and I'm going to keep him there until further notice. But if he won by double digits, would I be surprised at all? Absolutely not. So there's that. But you're looking at it, and it's like Biden, he's spending a lot of money on a lot of things. And this is the other thing that I wanted to cover as well before we get to Super Chats, before we get to the callers, because we've been going for about 15 minutes and we have a lot of Super Chats. And again, if you guys send a Super Chat, but you can double that total, send the amount you're going to Super Chat to me to the link in the top pinned comment. Send it to Donald Trump. He needs the money. He's fundraising, but we need all hands on deck. If you can afford it, and you want to send me a $10 super chat, for example, send the other 10 to Trump, or double it, send it to Trump, or just donate to him, period, honestly, if you want. He needs the money more than I do. I will say that. So there's that. Let's see. Okay. We have to cover this. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Democrats, the party of democracy and high turnout, are in a big problem right now because they know that it's likely not going to help them if you have higher turnout in some places. And a lot of these unregistered voters that happen to be young, that happen to be, in some cases, even minorities, that happen to be working class voters across Pennsylvania. Like we saw the whole automatic voter registration thing. Everyone on Twitter said, the end of the world, the end of the world. I said, no, it's probably going to help us. Like, do I like the law? In theory, not exactly, but If more people are registered to vote in a state where a lot of the low propensity voters are probably Republican, I think that would be a good thing. I think that would help out Donald Trump. Democrats are pretty much maxed out with their whole turnout apparatus that we need to counter. So I think voter registration efforts are probably a much more beneficial thing for Republicans in a lot of competitive places compared to if it would benefit the Democrats. And unregistered Democrat-leaning Americans have plummeted in terms of their percentage. A lot of Democrats that turn out and vote, they're already registered. And a lot of the unregistered Republican-leaning Americans, their numbers are rising significantly. So Democrats are actually afraid now to register voters. They're afraid of, higher Hispanic turnout, because when you see these metrics, it's actually costing them in a lot of places. And a lot of these lower propensity voters tend to be Republicans, which is a problem for the Republican Party to a certain extent. But the fact is, all these efforts that these Democrats are trying to implement because of democracy is backfiring directly on them, and it could help out Donald Trump. So all these registration drives that they've been doing, they're not exactly working out in their favor, and they're afraid to register voters. This is partially why Biden is spending a ridiculous amount of money on ad buys. He's opened field offices. Trump does need to catch up, I think, because he's lagging a little bit in fundraising, but he's still catching up. He's going to get there. He's going to place ad buys. There's so much material. This administration has been so bad that there's so much material to use. Use the economic metrics that you can use to your advantage. Just show what's happening at the border. Just show it. Just videotape people crossing illegally. This is your country. You don't have a country. That's the winning issue. Donald Trump does that. It's going to be very difficult for him to lose in November. Just stay on message. Talk about the border. Talk about the economy. Talk about even foreign policy, where we were overseas in a very good position. Obviously that's not as big of an issue to a lot of people as immigration and the economy, but those are the biggest issues to Americans, and Biden has dropped the ball on both significantly. He's trying to claim the economy's all fine and everything's good on that front because unemployment's low, but wages are not rising, prices are still very high, they're going up still. People are in a real bad predicament right now, and there's a big disconnect because Biden will claim, the economy's good because of X, Y, and Z metrics, but they don't tell the full story. Jobs, it's created 15 million jobs, and 12 of those million are just recovered from the pandemic, and the total number of jobs is lower. And young Americans are really struggling to find jobs, and the only people that are really getting jobs are foreigners that are living in this country, non-citizens or non-native born Americans in some instances. Their numbers are good. A lot of them can't even vote, but the average Americans whose homes are being squatted in by a lot of these people, who's, we see what's going on. It's it's not a good sign. Things are awful in this country. We have a epidemic of Chilean gangs from Chile ransacking houses in swing states. You have squatters. Biden has messed up so bad to the point where you even have gangs coming in from Chile, which, you don't really associate crime with Chile and Argentina and some of those places in South America, but you're seeing it happen in our country right now. It's getting really bad, and they don't want to deport these people. They just want to, and there's so many criminals, and a lot of it goes undetected because, they were undetected crossing the border in the first place. So it's a big mess, but we talk about the importance of demography in terms of getting certain demographics out and what Republicans need to do to win this election. And we have the blueprint. It's just get out the people that support Trump, and you just got to hit these metrics. In terms of the non-college educated white voters, and some of these numbers are a little iffy, but we talk about the projected electorate. Maybe that would be lower. White college grads could be higher, you name it. But you talk about if Biden is kept below 30, or he's kept at 30 or below, he got 32 in 2020. Hillary Clinton got 27, 28-ish in the 2016 election. If Biden's kept below 30, that's a very good sign for Trump. If Trump can at least just stop the bleeding with white college grads, that's going to work wonders for him. If he sees modest gains with black voters or black turnout dips, that's going to net him some votes in Georgia. Hispanic voters, he's likely going to get close to 40. That's a good sign for Donald Trump. And I don't really think the Asian other vote's going to move all that much. So either way, that would yield this map that we see right here. That would yield this map. But you have to get out these voters to vote. But Donald Trump can do that. He gets out the lower propensity white working class voters in the Midwest. Nobody else really can do it at the rate that he can. That's why Ohio is going to be safe red for him. Iowa as well. Without Trump on the ballot, those states would be somewhat competitive, one could argue, maybe less competitive than they were in 2012. They'd probably still go red. But because Donald Trump is that unique candidate, he's in a very, very strong position in Ohio, regardless if Biden is going to go out there and make the ballot or not. So without further ado, I think that it's important that we end up taking, or we'll take the super chats and then we'll get to the calls, because we have a few people in the live waiting room. If you guys want to join the website to call into the stream, we're going to be asking people about the VP pick today. I don't believe we've done that before, but we always get a lot of people that say, who do you think Trump's VP is going to be? And I'm sure maybe we already have a super chat or two about that because we get so many. We're going to let the people decide, and we're going to go to some of the people. Probably not going to take like 20 calls, but we're going to take about, hopefully 5 to 10, get to as many people as we can. So if you're in the Discord, you're a member on the website. Being a member on YouTube doesn't get you the Discord. Being a member on the website will get you the Discord. So redeaglepolitics.com, that's just $5 a month, 16 cents a day. Got to plug it. You get exclusive videos. I mean, I do an exclusive video or two every single week just for the website. You get my newsletter, my articles. I mean, we did one talking about the reasons why Donald Trump, there's optimism for his victory. I outlined it all, 7 reasons on the website, only for members. So here we go. We have super chats. Johnny Heartdog says, if Trump wins and also gets a trifecta, do you think people will finally go to prison like the Bidens, Clintons, some DAs, judges? One can hope. I think that some people might. I mean, here's the deal. It's very difficult to navigate the swamp, and we saw that in Trump's first term. But now that you have somebody who's, been tried to be put in jail by the current regime, if Donald Trump wins, then we know he's out for revenge. I theorize it's plausible, maybe not entirely, but it is plausible. The reason why they're lowering his bond for the sham apartments trial, or that he's may not actually be tried until Election Day and they're letting the trials be delayed, is because they know if he is to win, which is very plausible right now, that he would be out for total vengeance. But also, on top of that, you look at it and it's just like, well, if he's indicted or if he's convicted, he might go up in the polls. Because every time they talk about his legal cases, he goes up, which is something that is kind of just out of left field in a lot of people's minds. They don't really know why, but it's like it does open the eyes of a lot of people that say, hey, the establishment, it's wronging Trump, it's wronging me. I'm going to get out and vote for him. What they're doing is wrong. It's kind of like a sympathy vote because these cases are so bogus that nobody can rationalize them being legitimate legal cases unless you're just a partisan left-winger who wants Donald Trump to go to jail. That's pretty much it. So another question from Johnny Heartdog says, do you think the GOP is turning a corner and becoming the conservative America First party again? Well, again is a little iffy, but are they turning a corner? They've been turning a corner. It doesn't necessarily mean that we've made all the progress that we need to make when it comes down to it, but have we actually done our part in terms of improving the party? Yeah, but we have a long way to go. But the McEstablishment, McDaniel, McConnell, and McCarthy, they're all gone. McConnell is still there, but he's going to be gone out of leadership by the time the next Congress starts, which is absolutely huge. So John Cordisco's Corner says, will Trump be hurt by spending so much time in court? Will it matter in the end? Well, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. He's not probably going to be spending half his campaign time in a courtroom in October, in early November, down the stretch. When he's been quiet, it arguably isn't hurting him. I mean, there are theories to both sides of this. If he's doing rallies every day that attract 20,000 people in all these states, it's going to help him out. That might be true, and he's likely going to do some rallies. But if he runs a more intimate, toned-down campaign where he stays off of Twitter, it's not like his Truth Social posts that people find objectionable are going to be broadcasted wall-to-wall like his tweets were. And it's not like he posts that many of them all the time. It's like, yeah, Trump is kind of more reserved now. He's not as active, but is it really a bad thing? I mean, Biden got by with the basement strategy. It's not going to work out for him nearly as much because he has a record, and his record sucks. If Donald Trump does it, he has a record, but his record's good. So we just need to get people out to vote. It doesn't matter if Trump is in the courtroom or if he's doing rallies. We need to do our part too. So I don't think he's going to be hurt by it. Tucson PaleoCon for $20 says 20 for rep, 20 for the big guy. Absolutely true. If you guys want to super chat me, feel free to do so. But if you have the money, you can double it by sending Trump whatever you sent me, because he needs the money. He needs it probably a lot more than I do, because this campaign comes down to, it does. You talk about the mega donors, but small dollar donations add up. It's true. If every Trump voter, which I know not everybody can afford it, some can afford more than this, some can afford less, but if every Trump voter gave Trump $10 of their paycheck every single month, that's $700 million that Donald Trump would be getting every single month. So until between now and the election day, he'd have over a billion plus. And that's not to say he doesn't have money. That's not to say he's not getting money or raking in the donations, and that he possibly can't be putting his own money in his campaign. And then also on top of that, he might be getting Elon Musk as a donor. You never know. But still, the small dollar donations do help out. And if you don't want to send it to Trump directly, fine. Send it to down ballot candidates. Send it to Mark Robinson, Kerry Lake, Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. You have Bernie Moreno in Ohio. I think that he's going to win regardless. But if people want to donate to him, feel free to do so. Olivia Williams says, I worry about Trump in Michigan. Polls underestimated Whitmer a lot. Also, Maine voted for Biden by 9. How would it flip? That's just like saying Iowa would flip. Well, Iowa could very well vote Democrat depending on turnout. In the midterms, I think they had one Democrat get by in elected office. But again, he was a juggernaut for a long time, and he probably is going to be gone by 2026. I think that in terms of Michigan's polling underestimation, if you look at the polls between Whitmer and Dixon in even September, Whitmer was up by 30 points in some polls. Obviously, that was not sustainable, but still, I wouldn't really look into that, because a lot of the polls that were in the aggregate that showed Dixon doing well were not the same polls in the aggregate now. A lot of those polls showed Whitmer winning by 5, 10, even by more than that. So I wouldn't really look into it a whole lot in terms of 2022, which it was an entirely different time. Whitmer won by 10 points, it's true, but she didn't exactly get the turnout level that Biden got. It's not like she's going to be running up against Trump either. There were some polls that showed Trump losing to Whitmer by 5, but actually going out there and beating Biden. It shows you how unpopular Joe Biden truly is. Unmasked Florida for 10 says Flynn movie is number 1 on Amazon right now. Go see it. Just had 700 Patriots in attendance at the premiere. MAGA 2024 is stronger than ever. Keep up the grind, brother. Thank you. Olivia Williams says, is Trumpism over if somehow Trump loses in 2024? I think that overall, I would say that it's not over. I think it's going to exist for a very, very long time. I don't know who the candidates are going to be in 2028, but we're going to have to see. But it's not over. I mean, these ideas have been around before Trump. largely. They haven't been as, actively in the mainstream discourse, but they have been around. And that doesn't mean they're going away anytime soon, because Trumpism as an ideology is largely, a big faction of the GOP. Trump not winning in 2024 wouldn't necessarily stop it, although you will have a lot of people in mainly the DeSantis, because DeSantis is going to run again, and they will say, I told you so, because that's why a lot of DeSantis's surrogates are rooting for Trump to lose, and we see that. The actual voters in real life are already firmly in Trump's camp, but the surrogates, and probably DeSantis himself privately, they want him to lose so they could say, we told you so. Although I think you would make the case if he got on board, he'd have a much easier time winning a 2028 primary. I know he's, endorsed Trump publicly, very, very tepid endorsement, but still. Pete in Florida for 10 says, how is the registration and ballot chasing going for the GOP overall? Well, they're increasing their party registration in a lot of key states, including Arizona. You look at, obviously, Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Is it going to be enough in and of itself? We'll have to see. Arizona's registrations have been getting redder while the state has not been getting redder. So I think it just depends on how they build up their apparatus. I haven't heard any updates on it. I just know that they're starting to get it underway. Olivia Williams says Lake would have won easily if Sinema was running. It's possible, but at the end of the day, there was a big debate over whether she would take more away from Lake or she would take him away from Gallego, because even though Sinema is somebody who is very much a liberal Democrat who masquerades as this moderate independent, her appeal was to like the Meghan McCain type of people who probably, you could make the case that some of them in the real world would go for Gallego, or some might go for Lake. I don't know, but, I wouldn't say that Lake would have won easily if Sinema was running. It would still have been a very close race either way, and it's going to be a close race. The Sandwich Man says, Politico pointed out polls showed young voters shifting. That is technically true, although polls do tend to overestimate Trump with minorities and younger voters and underestimate him with, white voters and seniors. So I wouldn't exactly look too much into crosstabs, but still, it's like every poll shows Trump in the 30s or 40s with Hispanics. He's probably going to increase his total. You even can use, you look at the midterms, you see certain things there, certain metrics, certain races. Even Republicans didn't do that well in certain places. They still improve their vote share among some people, but young people, not so much. But now that the whole Palestine thing is an issue, young people are definitely going to be less enthusiastic to turn out for Joe Biden. And he's trying to placate them, and it's not working. And while he's trying to placate them, the pro-Israel side's upset at him too. So it's like Trump manages to win over supporters who are disaffected at the way Biden has handled the conflict on either side. The only unity that Biden has really caused is that everybody is uniting against Biden. Samuel Harrison says, did you see The Rock might not endorse Biden this year? Well, he's probably looking to run as an independent in 2028, honestly. He's definitely not going to be in Biden's camp. He said he would not endorse Biden. He's endorsed Republicans in the past. He, I believe, spoke at the convention in 2000 for Bush or 2004. So it's not really all that surprising. I'm not saying he's going to endorse Trump, but he might just not endorse anybody, or he might try to endorse RFK Jr. and test the waters for like an independent presidential bid. CYNG says New Jersey sleeper flip. Jack nearly pulled the upset. Well, governor races are not the same as federal races. It's not a sleeper flip. Trump's not going to flip New Jersey, but there was a poll that had it somewhat competitive. I think Trump will do better there, just like he's doing better in New York. Is it going to be by enough to win the state? No. Should resources go to the state? Probably not. So there's that. Sam Madsen says, so what was Ronna McDaniel doing all of those years? Was she just purposefully not contacting the donors? Well, who knows what she was exactly trying to do? I have no idea, honestly. She was wasting her time. She was, I guess you would say, just working actively to sabotage the Republican Party. She is a Romney after all. She went back to her roots, and now she's gone. And the left doesn't even want her in. The left is basically froze her out of any employment in liberal media, which she desired that, obviously. So she's done. There's really nothing else to it. She's awful. So I think that's it for Super Chats for now. If you guys want to keep sending in these Super Chats, feel free. But we are going to go to the callers right now. We're going to go to the calls. We're going to ask people if or who they believe that Donald Trump's VP should be. We have a few people already in chat. I think we're going to go. We're going to start off with Tucson Paleocon, who has already super chatted the stream. So let's see here. Tucson Paleocon, are you on? You are on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. So the question is who do you think Donald Trump's VP should be, and why do you think they should be his VP? I'd like to get the people's takes on this. I'll probably, play devil's advocate a little bit, see what's, get to some of the criticisms of some of the people that people say just for content. But who's your pick?
I'd have to go with J.D. Vance of all people, just because I feel like he did a really good job, a bang-up job, with the whole Ohio primary. Bernie Moreno is in there, has a nomination because of him. He is the face of the Rust Belt because of the whole, hillbilly elegy. He was raised on good Appalachian values, and I think that'll help him win Pennsylvania and maybe even Virginia to some extent. So,
really?
Yeah, I'll go with JD.
Well, I mean, I think I would be very enthused myself to vote for that ticket. I've been an early backer of Vance. There was some initial skepticism given his, past as somebody who opposed Trump in 2016, but I mean, what I will say is that there are a lot of positives. He is from the Rust Belt. If you want to max out Pennsylvania, Ohio, maybe Michigan and Wisconsin, he could be the guy to get it done. And he also was initially skeptical of Donald Trump, and he is somebody that can appeal also to, educated voters because he's very intelligent. I believe he went to Harvard and Yale, or one of the two, not exactly sure. But he does have a lot of positives, I will say. But what do you say to the people that say he lacks experience? He's only been a senator for, not even 2 years. And on top of it, people say Trump's already kind of appealing to that wing. Vance doesn't add anything to the ticket. Trump's already seen as a populist. What do you say to those people?
I would say that, sometimes it's good to double down on what really is the core of your base. I think he'd appeal to a lot of the white working class folks in the Rust Belt. I don't think experience should really be a factor. I don't think Mike Pence had too much experience outside of being, just being governor.
Well, he's a representative for a long time in Congress since the 90s, but...
Oh, really? You taught me something new then. I mean, my second choice would also be Kristi Noem, because, she's second in the betting odds already, so I think that's pretty likely.
So you're picking her because she's high in the betting odds. You think that's a good reason to pick her? Because I feel like Kristi Noem would be the most realistic choice that would disappoint me, just because she doesn't add anything. I just get bad vibes. I think that she is clearly about power, and when she did her rally with Trump, when she endorsed him ahead of Iowa, she put up on the screen Trump Noem, and there are rumblings that made Trump upset. And she's doing all these all these ads for all these, all the work she's getting done because she wants to be VP. What is she doing? I don't think it's, it shows that she's very competent. I think that obviously there'd be worse choices. I just don't see it though.
Well, maybe, but I mean, she's like 80% good on the issues, I think. I know she's done a few bad things, like caving in on the whole transgender issue. She's upset Trump clearly, but she's also kind of proven herself in going after Governor DeSantis back when he was running against Trump and threw his hat in the ring, and she's proven herself pretty loyal, I'd have to say. So yeah, that's why she's my second pick.
Okay. I mean, I understand why people might be able to make those, claims. He likes her, this, that, and the other thing. I just think there's a lot of better options. One name a lot of people are talking about is Tulsi Gabbard, which is very divisive because she was basically a Democrat until not too long ago. What would your take be on a Trump Gabbard ticket? Because that's something that I feel like needs to be talked about more.
Ooh, I mean, objectively, I'd really like that because she's against the regime change wars. She's proven herself pretty loyal to Trump, even refusing to be on the ticket with RFK. I I do think, though, if that happens, what if Joe Biden? Oh wait, sorry, I forgot that Harris was Biden's VP. Otherwise, I would have said, what if he picks Nikki Haley as his VP? But that can't happen. But yeah, I like Gabbard. She's cool.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that seems to be the general vibe, but there are some people who disapprove of it. So anyways, thank you for calling in a Tucson PaleoCon, and thank you for the super chat as well, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. See you. Okay, we're going to go to American Spiritual Politics. You are on the air. How's it going?
Hey, Rep, how you doing? Great to be here.
So we're asking people who their preferred VP choice for Trump would be, and why do you feel that way? Who's your choice?
First, I'm going to start with Tulsi Gabbard. Second, Lee Zeldin. Third would be Kristi Noem. I do not approve of Nikki Haley or Chris Christie or anybody on that list becoming his vice president. But I'm going to start with Tulsi Gabbard. Just like what the previous guest has said, she seems to be against the foreign wars and very loyal to Trump, but also can appeal to a lot of the former Democrats and independents that seem to be more swayable or flippable come crunch time. Now, Lee Zeldin, for the second pick, would be because he can appeal to New York and kind of can narrow the gap quite a bit in New York, and he could probably also help carry Republicans down ballot in New York across the finish line into the House or to the state legislature. And then Kristi Noem, not a big fan of her, but I'll go ahead and lay her out. She's a woman, first of all. She doesn't add much to the ticket. But Kristi Noem is, as we know, owned by Sanford Health, and that could possibly increase conflicts between her and Trump. But at the end of the day, she seems to be rather loyal to Trump as well.
And if you say like her being a woman is a thing, do you agree that there's probably like a better women out there if that's what he's angling for? Personally, I don't think he needs to pick somebody based on like an identity aspect. But would you say that like you would prefer like an Elise Stefanik to a Noam or somebody of that nature who might, be, I guess you would say, a little bit more loyal, a little bit less, willing to take the spotlight?
Elise Stefanik, I'll get to her in real quick. I'm not the biggest fan of her. First of all, while she seems to be turning the ship around, she seems to have a relatively meh or bad voting record, depending on the way you look at it. While she did not vote to expel George Santos, as we probably all know, like the rest of the New York congressional delegation, that still does not give her a free pass by all the iffy votes she's had, but she definitely does appeal to the Trump's voter base.
Yeah, I think that the benefit to her is not her voting record. I think that electorally maybe she could get some moderate voters, but at the same time she is loyal to Trump, and I feel like she would, her legislative experience and her position might help advance his agenda through Congress. I don't know. She's not my first choice, I'll say that, but I wouldn't necessarily be as upset about it as I was when she initially, got her conference chair position back in 2021. I was very skeptical of her then, but she has improved a lot since. So it's one of those wait and see things. I can't really say that, oh, well, I'll welcome Tulsi with open arms, but, I'm going to have to close the door on her entirely. But you could make the case that Tulsi would be better for other reasons. But anyways, thank you for calling in American Spiritual Politics. Right. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rap.
No problem. We are going to move on in a second here. We'll look in chat as well. I put a poll up for the approval rating of Tulsi. It seems that 23% of people have an unfavorable view. 40% are somewhat skeptical but okay with her, and 9%. Actually, we have more voters now. It keeps going back and forth. About 40% are favorable to her as well. So it seems like she has an 80%-ish favorable rating. Independents like Tulsi. It seems very like establishmentarian voters might not, but it's not like Trump is going to win over a giant share of those voters anyways. So I don't know. It's interesting to see. Wonder if Hawaii gets put on the table with Tulsi. But either way, she'll be a surrogate. I think it's a good thing she's a campaign surrogate because she is somebody who does have wide appeal. She has a lot of fans. People like her. She, is I guess you would say just comes off like a genuinely nice person. But at the end of the day, you have people that are skeptical. Hey, she ran as a Democrat in 2020. When she hit Kamala Harris, she hit her from the left. And on top of it, she endorsed Biden. But, her coming around is, I think, a positive sign overall. She should have been Trump's Secretary of State when he was considering her back in the 2020 election, or 2016 election, just after it. So there's that. But so far, it seems like Tulsi's favorable rating is maybe 80% if you factor in soft approval among the Trump base. Now, if I polled Nikki Haley, unfavorable would be in the 90s. So keep in mind, I think the people would much rather have Tulsi than some of these other people. I don't think that she's going to be everybody's first choice for VP, but is it an interesting thing to test the waters with? Maybe. I don't think that she would be somebody where the establishment would say, we got to get Trump out of the way by any means necessary if she's the VP, because at that point, it's just like she pisses off the establishment a lot too. So there's that. And I'm sure she's probably going to try to run for president in the future, 2028, on the GOP ticket, but I don't know if she's going to really get that far, to be honest, with all the other options in the running. So we have more super chats. Mary Lou Mawson, thank you for the one. Boa Constrictor says Ben Carson would be an excellent VP. People like Ben Carson. Is he going to be the one who's going to be chosen? I don't know. I think the VP is going to come out of left field. I really do. Emax Tactical for 20 says if left can get away with forcing conservatives out of voting locations, whatever, water main breaks, finding just enough ballots, unconstitutionally changing voter laws like in my state of Pennsylvania, I truly fear simply more of the same. I'm not exactly afraid of it because I feel like we're at a point where we can flip it into our favor. And I understand that there's so many people that have PTSD and that have been hurt. And I'm not saying that their concerns aren't valid, because they absolutely are. But when it comes down to it, it's like you're seeing changes. You're seeing the RNC invest in poll watchers for the first time. You're seeing them do things that are objectively positive. It's a good thing. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that 2024, the election's going to be more like 2016 than 2020. I will say that. Bruce Rice for 10 says, how about Devin Nunes for VP and Earthworm Jim for Truth? I don't know who, or I know who Devin Nunes is. I don't know if he's on the consideration list. It's really not been reported that he is. Isn't he CEO of something sizable? I forgot what it was, but I think he's up on the board at Truth Social, actually. Vibe Shorts, thank you for the one. Businessman says, Noam is too hot. Women will hate her. Tulsi is good. I mean, if I polled the chat, I'm sure a good portion of the chat would say that Tulsi is better looking objectively than Kristi Noem, but I don't know how accurate that is. Oh, well, women won't vote for an attractive woman because they're jealous. Like, is there any truth to that? I'm not entirely sure. People asking how they could call in to the show. Join the Discord server at redeaglepolitics.com. $5 a month, 16 cents a day. Join up. You can call in. There's that. Johnny Heartdog says, not Tulsi, a Democrat's a Democrat, maybe ex-Democrat, but she still has left policies. Not Vivek, hasn't earned trust just yet. Dave M says Tulsi can bring back women independence. Tulsi can help with the looming abortion issue that ruined 2022. Well, Trump's looking into that because he knows that it's a pressing issue that he wants to take off the table. And you have pro-life groups that don't understand pragmatism, and they're mad that Trump isn't talking about a ban. But here's the deal. If he talks about a ban, he's probably not going to win the election if he says we're going to ban abortion nationwide. Should it be banned nationwide? I think that the answer would be yes, but is it feasible to get done? It's just virtue signaling, because even if Trump gets in power, you're not going to see him be able to do it. Nationalizing the issue doesn't really stand in the courts a whole lot. First of all, we saw that with Dobbs v. Jackson in the first place. Second of all, yeah, you could probably get a 15, 12-week ban in there anyways when he wins, which would have to be billed differently. But if you campaign on it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing the pro-life movement a disservice by just rejecting pragmatism in favor of virtue signaling that's not going to work. Someone in chat said Tulsi voted to impeach Trump. That's actually not true. She voted present, which, again, that's a problem. Should not have voted present at all. But she did not vote to impeach Trump. That's not true. Let's see. Sound Spartan gifted 5 memberships, and BRGRS says, I'm really worried that the Democrats are going to redact the 2024 election like 2020. What would stop them from doing it again? Well, there's no COVID this time around. You saw a turnout dip significantly in 2022. We saw that for one. You're not going to see them be able to fully go out there, ramp up their apparatus. And even so, there's probably going to be shenanigans anyways. There was, if you really think 2016 was free of everything, you're wrong. Just because Trump won didn't mean there weren't concerns or problems. There's still going to be them, but at the end of the day, it's like we came that close given everything. You think we can't beat it now that Biden is in the worst position? If we can't, we don't deserve to win at this point. But I think we're going to win because Biden has messed up so much. He's messed up so much, it's ridiculous. But we got to get out and vote. We can't be demoralized. That's what they want. That's how they win without lifting a finger. Okay. Let's see. We're going to take more calls. We'll go to On Point Politics, who is currently deafened. On Point Politics, you are on the air. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we're asking people tonight, who is Donald Trump's best VP pick? Because this is a big topic of discussion, as we all know, in the conservative internet sphere and probably just real life in general. So who's your pick, and why do you think that they are your best selection for it?
Okay, well, honestly, right now, the best pick that I could think of for vice president is probably Ben Carson, and I have a couple reasons for this. First of all, Donald Trump in the polling data has significantly improved with African-American voters. And this wouldn't necessarily be done as something as like an obvious pander, but I think out of all of the options he could pick, I think Ben Carson would also be a good option for that. I think that he kind of balances out the ticket really well. He was really the only one that he really got along with in 2016, like basically 90%. And I think that it would kind of unite the GOP in a way, because I think he'd appeal to some establishmentarian type of voters, but would also appeal to the MAGA base. I think in terms of him debating Kamala, I think would be perfect, because I think Kamala's whole don't speak to me that way, or like I'm speaking, wouldn't necessarily work on Ben. And they can't really pull the white supremacist card on him because he's African American. So that
they'll still pull it on him. they will. They pulled it on Larry Elder.
They could try,
but it's laughable, I'm sure.
But Larry Elder, it's a different story, because that was a state election in California. But this is a national election where possibly Biden might not even debate the former president, which is going to be pretty interesting to see. My prediction is that Biden probably refuses to debate Trump because of the whole thing where it's like, he's MAGA and he incited an Iraq.
Well, they say that a lot too.
Right, yeah.
But
it's like the whole thing. So
yeah. The point to that would probably be the debate thing, and also the age, because Trump might want to pick somebody younger. I feel like that's a piece of contention. He's somebody who's lower profile, which I wouldn't say is necessarily a bad thing, because we know Trump likes to surprise people. He is loyal to Trump. He is somebody who is, relatively not awful on policy. He's good. He's decent. He kind of was like the Vivek equivalent back in 2016. A lot of Trump supporters liked him in the primary, but they just rolled with Donald Trump. I will say the debating thing is a potential issue, because while it is true that he comes off as soft and calm, and it could be a good thing that he would kind of neutralize Trump's personality, which I think it'd be less of a need now than it would back in like 2016, because Trump is more chill, usually rhetorically now. I will say he might come off as too weak, and he just got absolutely like embarrassed a couple times back in the 2016 presidential debates, like on foreign policy and things like that, where I think that he would probably, I'm not going to say he'd lose to Kamala, but I feel like if you're looking for somebody to debate her well, I think there's a lot of other people. And I think Tulsi Gabbard, that'd probably be the number one selling point, because she is known for being the Kamala Harris decimator, and that is true.
I mean, yeah, that is for sure. I mean, yeah, she did decimate her during the debates. I think another pick, that my second top pick, would be Lee Zeldin, just because it's not even because, we're going to win New York or something like that. But I think it's more of he would appeal to a lot of people that are, focused on the whole crime/immigration issue. I think he'd be a perfect VP for that. And I think he would eviscerate Kamala Harris. Either way, I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, to be honest. And you could like literally right now, Trump is basically looks maxing in real time, and Kamala Harris is literally aging 10 years in the span of like 3 years. I don't know if you've seen the comparison photo. It's actually kind of hilarious.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just it's the presidency. Yeah. Biden, even a few years ago, was in better physical appearance, and Obama definitely aged a lot during his turn. But Trump seemed to do the reverse. I mean, he looks pretty young. I don't know if he's, doing a different skincare routine or whatever it is, but I see a lot of pictures where he looks very much youthful, which is definitely a good thing in comparison to Biden, even though Trump is just, a few years younger. I will say that, Zeldin, I like Zeldin as a pick. I think he would probably be a decent selection just because he appeals to every wing of the Republican Party. Crime is one of his biggest issues. It is a big issue that he could, I guess you would say, energize some voters on. And everybody seems to like Zeldin. He's kind of an inoffensive pick. It doesn't hurt Trump. And he probably could, I mean, he's decent when it comes to the debate stage as well. He's not like the best debater in the world, but he's, he handled Hochul very well. I think he could easily take care of Kamala Harris, better than Pence for sure in that department. And he's also somebody that has been somewhat I would say loyal, not the most loyal, but he's been around for a while. So I will say that
he's a good pick. I think in terms of the map that you have up on the screen right now, I think that is fairly accurate. Now, again, the swingometer is kind of weird because their metrics and their demographics are kind of off. Like Wisconsin on that map, for some reason, is always closer than like Michigan.
And Colorado too is another one.
It's a bad, they have weird demographics on that. But right now, my current election model currently has the election at 312 to 226 as of right now. It uses like the RCP average. It uses Biden's the approval rating. It uses like how far the popular vote swings in a certain direction. It uses trends, the swings in every state, the polling averages. And I currently have the election at 312 to 226. Biden would basically have to win the popular vote by like 3 to even have a chance. At that point, the election on my model becomes like 278 to 260 or something like that. But he'd have to win it by over 3 points to even win. And as of right now, it's not 100% guarantee. More than likely, his best case scenario is probably winning it by 2.5 or something like that.
Yeah,
turnout's going to be a lot lower, in my opinion, than last cycle. A lot of people, especially college-educated voters, I think that's going to go way down in turnout, which might actually help Trump because a lot of people who aren't going to turn out are a lot of people that probably would have voted for Biden.
Exactly.
A lot of college-educated people are also moving towards RFK, which is going to help us in the long run. A lot of those people would have voted for Biden last cycle. So really a lot of places – if you're splitting the Biden vote with RFK and all those like universities in Iowa and, Ohio and like certain parts of Florida and Texas are all like Republican strongholds, you could potentially have that happen. Even in my university, there's a lot of people defecting from Biden and RFK, even though there are more liberals here in a retrospect than Republicans per se. Trump might actually be able to win the vote here in my university because of the fact that that split is happening.
It is true. And also another last thing that I'll point out is the millennials, older millennials, potentially moving to the right. They did in 2022. We hear people, as they age, they tend to get more conservative, and they haven't gotten as conservative as some people may have hoped. But you are starting to see some of those people in their late 30s, early 40s, they are moving to the right somewhat, which arguably would help out Donald Trump as well in some of these places. I don't think you're going to have, even in 2020, you didn't see as big of a shift, or at least a trend in the suburbs as you saw from 2012 to 2016 in places like Dallas and other places nationwide, aside from like Rust Belt suburbs or more blue collar suburbs. So there was that. But anyways, on point politics, thank you for coming on. I appreciate the call.
And really quick, if you don't mind, right before I leave, guys, I'm trying to get to 8K by the end of the month. So everyone in here, if you would like to subscribe, I would appreciate it. Shameless plug. So
all right, there you go.
Have a good one.
All right, have a good one. Thank you. We're gonna go to Aliens. Aliens is on the air. How's it going?
Hey, Rap, how are you doing?
Doing good. So I think you already know the question. I'll reiterate it for the viewers. Who do you want Trump to pick as VP, and why?
JD Vance.
So you have the same pick as Tucson.
Yeah, I think he's strong, and the reason why I pick him in particular is because historically the vice president tends to run after the president leaves office. So I want the person who carries the torch to be the most emblematic of Trump's policy.
So you are of the belief that whoever he picks is going to be the nominee in 2028, which I think if a lot of these people that are talked about were going to be his pick, they probably would not run, or if they were to run, they wouldn't be seen as an auto front runner because they're not like a star candidate in that regard. It is possible. If he wants to pick somebody as a successor, I think Vance is the pick. I think he adds more to the ticket than somebody like Vivek. I like Vivek, but at the end of the day, it's like I feel like he's more like a cabinet guy. I feel like Vance is somebody that's probably more in tune with like the Rust Belt voters. I think he does add more to the ticket in that regard. I like both of them, but I think Vance would probably be the best selection. Do you have another potential pick if you had a number two?
A number two. So if I knew that the vice president was going to run, I would probably choose Vivek. But if not, I do like Ben Carson to some extent.
So you think Carson would be like a good ceremonial choice if he isn't going to run again? Because I feel like him. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the base would be okay with it. I don't think he adds a ridiculous amount to the ticket, but I also don't think he like hurts Trump either. So you could make a case for Carson. I think a lot of people have. But anyways, thanks for joining thanks for calling into the stream.
Yeah, no problem. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, I wanted to ask this question also for the audience. What are your long-term plans for the channel after the 24 election? Like, what are you aspiring for afterwards? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that we're going to have to see who wins the 2024 election for sure to really determine the long-term future of it. I think that Donald Trump winning would obviously be better, and there's going to be a lot to cover going on, lots of policy to talk about, a lot of other things, but I'll still be, talking about all of that regardless of the outcome of the election. That's not going to stop. The channel's going to go on. But I don't really have any set plans for like taking it in an entirely new direction, but probably I'd say more of like the long form content, kind of like some of the documentary style things I've made. I probably would be more likely to do some more deep dives on that, talk about maybe some more cultural issues that are impacting certain trends at length. And I feel like that could kind of be an important thing to do. So I'd probably say that.
Hell yeah, man. That's solid.
All right. Well,
All right, cool.
Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I also, real quick in the chat for the on-air VC, I wanted to show you something real quick. This was published the other day. It's a new swingometer that was made by 538. If you wanted to
Really?
check that out, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to do it on stream or not. You don't have to, but just it's
Well, I'm
updated
gonna-
with the 2020 demographics instead of the 2016.
Really? So 538 did something at all on their website, which is surprising me. It just seems like they've kind of revamped it and kind of made it more of like a wing of ABC News, which is kind of a little disappointing. But yeah, I'm not necessarily, there's a lot to unpack here in terms of doing it like on stream, but I think that I might be playing with this at some point after the stream. So I really appreciate you for pulling that up. I'm surprised that nobody's used that on Twitter or anything. It's kind of surprising me.
Yeah, it kind of flew under the radar. Yeah, yeah, it'd be cool for like a video or something. I just wanted to let you know about it.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Yep. See
Thanks
ya.
for bringing me on.
No problem. All right. We're going to go look at the, we're going to go to this chat or the super chats real quick. Do we have any more? Olivia Williams says, who do you donate to in terms of candidates? I've sent money to a decent amount of candidates. I tend to send it to candidates in swing states or districts who not only do I like, but also might need the money. You talk about people like Robinson, North Carolina, Eric Hovde in Wisconsin, Kerry Lake, Mike Rogers in Michigan now because Michigan desperately needs a Republican senator. It's been 20 years. So those are some of the candidates that I've donated to, but I would just tell people to donate to down ballot candidates in key races and mainly focus on the ones that they like or that might need the money. Like Kerry Lake in Arizona might not get the most money from the establishment, but she's a good fundraiser among the base and the grassroots. So I probably recommend giving to her if you want to see her win in Arizona and make Meghan McCain throw a temper tantrum. I think that would be a pretty good idea. But let's see. Hollicy19, thank you for becoming a member. Olivia Williams says, how do you get only Trump voters out in 28 and beyond? Well, you got to get a good turnout apparatus going. If you look at Obama in 2008, black turnout before Obama for the Democrats was extremely low. They were in the gutter, but somehow, some way, now you see it very high. Every election cycle, it's competitive. So they built up their apparatus. It might be harder for us because, urban areas are a lot easier to do door-to-door ballot harvesting, etc., than, rural areas where the houses are, half a mile apart in some places. So that's really all it comes down to. We just got to be making sure that we get these people out to vote and find a way the same way that the Democrats have with their own base, because they've struggled with base turnout for a very, very long time. But they had a candidate who would get their voters out in Obama, young voters, black voters, turn out super high. But that's been sustained, even if it hasn't been sustained or wasn't sustained in like off-year elections or midterms like 2010, 2014. By the time 2016 rolled around, they pretty much had it together kind of, but not enough. And then 2018, that's when they really got it done. So it might take us a while, but now I think we realize the problem to the point where it's like it's not going to be impossible for us to go out there and get it done. Let's see. Boa Constrictor says Confederate States of America 2028. I don't know if that's going to happen, but John Waffle H2P says people need to start donating to Trump. I'm tired of seeing Biden's propaganda on every video. That's true. Even this video, this channel, he's placed ads before. I don't know if people are getting his ads now, but it is true that we need to donate to Trump. You guys, like I said, if you want to send me a super chat, that's fine. But if you have the money to send that to Trump, do both. If you want to double it, half to me, half to Trump, do it. I'm going to be sending money to Trump every month until he's elected. I'll tell you that much. Dave M says, if Trump loses, I will get behind Texit. Possibly. I mean, Texit, is it a feasible thing to happen? It's kind of selfish because without Texas, America would never go Republican ever again. and that's kind of why Democrats are trying to flip the state. But if Texas were to go independent, it's probably not going to happen for various reasons, but I think the rest of America would pretty much be doomed. So let's see. That's it for Super Chats. That's pretty much it. So we have a couple more people in the live waiting room. We can go to Gray Eagle. Gray Eagle, you are currently on the air. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I think you know the question. Who do you want Trump to select to be his running mate, and why do you feel that way?
So I have 3 people in mind right now. I got Zeldin. Obviously, he's the good choice. He's a New York guy. Has that good career trajectory right now. But then we also have Tucker Carlson in there, right? He's what you call an outside shot.
Very
but
outside.
So far, he has this amazing idea for what it is to be a vice president in the first place that makes him kind of a good choice to begin with, because vice president isn't really meant to be this big spot. It's you can my 8th grade teacher put it best. You can sit on your ass and eat Cheetos all day. And
technically, well, as long as you don't have to break any ties in the Senate, there's not much to do, which that's kind of where I see maybe the negative connotation come in, because I think it would be positive if he got elected with it, in terms of him having a successor. I don't think Tucker wants to do it, which is where I'll come in and say I don't believe it's going to happen based off of that alone. I think that Tucker might run in the future, 2028. Could it happen? Yeah, maybe he could be Trump's chief of staff. That would be a lot more likely, in my opinion, and he probably would impact policy more, which is where I think he'll be needed. But in terms of him as VP, I just don't think it's viable. It is an electoral gamble. I think there are positives. I think that, there is controversy that might distract. I feel like if you're at the top of the ticket, it's fine. But being VP, you're in a tough spot, because you need somebody who's not that much of a gamble. I love Tucker. I just feel like he'd be more like chief of staff material. But you said you had some other options. Who are the other people that you would want Trump to select?
Finally, I think Youngkin could be a good candidate. He has that executive experience. He's solid on most issues, and just overall a great politician that speaks his mind and speaks clearly.
You think that would make Virginia competitive, or you think it would still be a long shot?
I don't think choosing Youngkin would be making Virginia competitive. I just think that Youngkin would be a good candidate by itself. He would make gains in North Carolina, similar region, and Pennsylvania, close and in geographic location, and similar politics in general, but obviously Virginia is more left wing presidentially.
Yeah, I personally think that it would not be the worst choice in the world. I don't think Trump probably is going to pick Youngkin. I know Youngkin has endorsed him, which he promised he would do. He kept that promise. I think Youngkin is probably going to run in 2028. Honestly, I do believe that I don't think he'd hurt Trump electorally. He might help him, but as a VP, is Trump going to want somebody who's kind of like just cut from the establishment cloth? Because I think that Youngkin is somebody who could win a general election on his own, because he is likable. He has a personality, unlike somebody like a DeSantis, or he doesn't have the negative track record that Nikki Haley has, to the point where Youngkin might have a future shot. He wasn't dumb enough to run in 2024. But would you say that it's kind of a long shot as well that Trump would select Youngkin just based off of that fact that he's kind of like from that Bush wing, even if he knows how to sell it better?
I don't necessarily think so, because we've seen in the past with some of Trump's choices for like the DA's office, or with the Secretary of State, he's not afraid to choose those kind of more establishment people to get the boomer cons on his side, and they can really send more votes towards Trump to begin with. The problem being obviously that, if we have these, neocon Republicans like Pence and like, what's his face, the chief advisor from last administration, he's going to be influenced by these wrong people and make bad choices. Like with the bump stock ban, which I don't agree with.
I think that was Sessions actually who, did that one. And I wouldn't even call him that. Well, he did kind of cave into that wing, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
During his tenure.
But overall, I think it doesn't really matter who Trump chooses to be his vice president at the moment, because people are going to vote for Trump and not for his vice president, and not for his cabinet picks. So there's that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I don't think he needs to double down too much. I'm fine. I think Vance would be interesting. I wouldn't say I'm opposed to it, but like, there's a reason why he's not going to pick somebody like most likely like a Tucker Carlson or a Vivek. Like, they might have their time to shine nationally eventually, but I don't think he's going to do something like that because he knows Trump has got to have the spotlight. If he picks somebody that's a little bit more, establishment friendly to win over some of these, suburbanites, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you don't want somebody that's fully an establishmentarian, but it is true that Donald Trump, so long as he doesn't pick Nikki Haley, I don't think he can really, go wrong with picking somebody that's just like inoffensive. And probably won't even run in 2028, or if they do, they wouldn't get past a primary against some of those other names that we talked about. But anyways, Gray, thank you for calling into the stream. I appreciate the call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. We have one last caller, TOS. We're going to go to TOS, who has joined the stream. TOS, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. So I actually have a question for you, and that's what do you think about, or what your opinion is on the whole Blake Masters advertisement and his whole campaign so far?
Yeah, I think that him running for Congress against Abe Hamadeh, before he even announced, we knew that there was going to be this rift within the Trump wing of people that liked Masters and people that liked Hamadeh. And there's a lot of things that come up out of nowhere that are pretty damaging to Hamadeh's past. And I mean, are these things wrong? It doesn't seem like they are. And Hamadeh has hit Masters very hard on things that I feel like are reaches. And for him to hit back, I feel like you could say this feud is not good for the movement or whatever, but I feel as if he's got a right to hit back and strike back. It's politics, and it feels like he might actually make this a race because he does have, it seems like, a lot of money. And I heard a rumor that Trump is unhappy with Abe, and he was like pressured into endorsing him by I don't know if that's valid. I don't know if that is a claim that's backed up by reality, but I have heard it from several people as well.
I heard actually, I think honestly, we could probably infer that. Kerry Lake probably did kind of, force Trump's hand and make him endorse Hamadeh, because I saw there were some reports saying that he was going to run for Senate, and then Kerry Lake was supposed to run for Senate all along after she lost. So that maybe has a factor in the whole Trump endorsement there. Yeah, and it is something that it is a feud that's unnecessary, I feel like, but there are legitimate criticisms of Hamadeh. I feel like if both were to get in there, they'd have an above average voting record, you name it. The other guy that's in the race is more establishment, and we really don't want him to win as well, but it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out down the stretch. But that is going to be a competitive primary. But the main focus, I feel like, for Arizona needs to be the general. But so what we are saying, or what we are talking about tonight, is Trump's VP pick. Who would be your ideal VP, realistically,
preferably, and why exactly would you want Trump to pick that person?
Well, before the whole debacle, I guess, in 2023, I did originally want Glenn Youngkin to be the vice president. Because he, in my opinion, I think he could bring back a lot of voters that Trump's lost in a lot of these suburbs, like in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Arizona. But I do now think it should probably just be Lee Zeldin. Or, I mean, if Trump really is like he doesn't really care about the whole, vice president. I don't know how to really articulate it, but I would say another good choice would kind of just be J.D. Vance if he wants a successor and he wants to go down that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as if the Zeldin thing, if people were looking for a Youngkin type, I feel like Zeldin kind of fits that void, but in more of like a MAGA-friendly way, because he's been more friendly to Donald Trump. He endorsed him early on, and a lot of people back then in the DeSantis wing were not very happy about it. So, yeah, I think that those would be, decent picks who wouldn't take voters away from Trump. That's kind of what he needs to do. He doesn't need to take a gamble here. I feel like he needs to pick somebody who, he likes and is going to be somebody who will back his agenda and possibly help him enact it. But at the end of the day, picking somebody who's not like identical or like a main successor. I think Vance is like a good pick if he wants a successor, though, that, I'd be cool with, because he does have a lot of positive qualities and could bring in some extra voters. But I also understand the argument that, well, they're both from the same wing of the party, so he probably could go with somebody else. But that's just my take on it. That's pretty much it. Anyways, thank you, TOS, for calling into the show. Appreciate your call.
Yeah, shout out to my dad. He's been watching you for the past 2 weeks. He's starting to get red pilled.
Nice. That's good to hear. We love to reach all the generations. But anyways, thanks for calling. We have a lot of people here. We have a lot of people in the boomer generation. We have a lot of Gen Xers. We have millennials. We have Zoomers. I don't think we have any Gen Alpha, because I don't think that they're old enough to really understand politics. And I don't think we have any remaining silent generation, because they're probably too old to use the internet. But that's that. We have more super chats that we want to get to for sure. We're an hour and 30 minutes into the show. I don't know how much longer we're going to go, but we've had a decent turnout tonight. We've had over 1,000 viewers in chat the entire stream. The Sandwich Man says, what are your thoughts on Hovde winning? I think he could win. I would love to see it happen. We'll see. Logan Agee says, I'm 20, male, and I live and go to college in Ohio. I know the most important thing for my state is getting Moreno elected, but how can I assist that? Well, I think that you could assist him by contacting his campaign, getting involved. I mean, they need people everywhere. I'm sure they have campaign offices everywhere. They need people knocking doors, doing phone calls. Like, if you have time and you want to help Republicans get elected, not everybody has time. Some people work 9 to 5s. If they do that and they have spare money laying around, donate it, ideally. But we need everybody to get involved if they can. Otherwise, if we lose and it's close and people sat on their rear end and didn't, but they could have, well, it's a little bit of an issue, especially in competitive states, for sure. Because if you live in California, you can't really be volunteering for Trump. It doesn't really move the needle that much, but there are down ballot races. There are races where it will be a close election and could have national implications. The House is going to be razor thin. It could come down to one seat for all we know. Merc IWNL says Trump AB ticket is going to change the polling back into our favor drastically. Hashtag CTE 2024. This is so true. Few people may understand, but it's true. Let's see. Boa Constrictor says Alex Jones for press secretary. Will never happen, but would love to pay to see that. Dustin Carner says thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard as VP. We've been covering that the entire show, but I will reiterate it. And we just got another super chat. Mojo1 says, you think Tulsi would be a good strategic VP? To answer both of these questions, I think that it's You would say a risky pick within the base, but it depends. He should be testing the waters with her. Does the base like her? I feel like independents, even some women in the suburbs, your average, centrist out there who might not be a total establishment shill, some of those voters, I feel like her on the ticket would really take away a lot of Republicans who might want to go for RFK Jr. as well. But will her being as anti-establishment on foreign policy prevent, some donor money from getting to Trump? Who knows? There are a lot of hoops to jump through, but I think in theory it would be an interesting selection. I would not oppose it. I know why some people don't, but still. Let's see. Rick Rod 95 for 10 says, hypothetical situation, 22nd Amendment is repealed and Trump runs for a third term, but Obama runs for a third term as well. Who'd win? I feel like Obama got a fighting chance, but the love for him has simmered. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that it's not going to get repealed, but you might have a case to challenge it in court. If Donald Trump is president and he's still healthy and he thinks he could go another 4 years on top of it, it's possible. If Obama comes out of the woodwork again, runs, I mean, it depends how popular is Trump. If Trump got everything under control, he's got a 50+% approval rating, and the Trump hatred is kind of dying down, and people would be down to reelect him, then I think it wouldn't matter who his opponent is. If his approval rating is 50% +1, he'd get reelected. Obama, on the other hand, Trump could hit him hard. He could say, well, the only reason why I'm here in the first place is because you messed up so bad. And that would definitely help him out too. And honestly, Obama, if he were to run in 2028, if he hypothetically could, which I think he probably has lost interest in politics, but if he did that, I really feel as if he would probably... I'm not going to say he'd lose the primary because I think he'd be the favorite, but if you think he'd be the only Democrat that would run, I think you'd be wrong. But still, I just can't picture it. That would be one for the ages. I don't think you're not going to overturn the 22nd, but if you found a way to challenge it in court to mean where it's two non-contiguous terms, which some people interpret it that way, not everybody, well, that would be interesting. But that would basically mean Trump just gets an extra term on top of it, which I'd be down for if, especially as things are probably going to be improving, if the economy improves, borders under control. Like, yeah, why not? Why not 4 more years of Trump if he's able to win a third term? Let's see. Crosswalk guy says, what about Candace Owens for VP? 0 shot whatsoever. I don't even think Trump is that big of a fan of hers anymore because she did say some negative things about him after the midterms. Based Cat says, shit libs really think they're going to flip Florida because of my close 2018 election. Donald John America will be our president again. Well, yeah, I don't know how they could use the 2018 as an argument. I haven't even heard that argument. Quantum Strange Quark says, don't let Trump cheat. Demand voter ID. Trump 2024. I've seen those memes. Yeah, voter ID is such an easy winning issue for Republicans. It's not like it's an important issue in the eyes of most people, but like there's no reason for anybody to oppose voter ID. Just zero. John Waffle H2P says Vance should stay in the Senate. I think Youngkin or Zeldin would be a genius move. Jeremy Greenberg says thoughts on Hawley for VP. He's going to be running for Senate. He's needed there. Andrew Mortensen says Laura Trump should hire a rep for political strategist. We'd be winning hard with rep at the table. Well, I think they listen. I think maybe not her specifically, but people in the orbit are listening and taking notes. And I kind of like it the way it is, but we'll see. If they wanna hire me for anything, they can reach out. They know where to find me. They know where to reach me. They know where to contact me. But still, I'm content doing exactly what I'm doing right now as we grow the channel to new heights. So like the stream. Let's get to 1,000 likes and hit the subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed. Let's get to 177,000 subscribers. Dustin Carner says Dems high water mark for Texas was 2018 to 20, at least R+7. Yeah, No, Trump is probably going to increase his margin in the state. I really believe it. I think he wins it by around 7, maybe even by more at the end of the day, just because of the fact that Democrats, are they going to continue to gain that much in the Houston suburbs? Not really. And you look at even like the primaries, Nikki Haley did not do very well in the DFW area. And if you really were to sense a big political climate shift, you probably would have seen her getting 30 or 40% in a county like Collin or Denton or even Tarrant. And I think in Tarrant, she got like low 20s. Was barely above her statewide total. I think Trump can flip back Tarrant, especially with Hispanics moving to the right faster than white college grads are moving to the left, at least in recent cycles. So there's that. And that's it for Super Chats right now. This will be the last call for Super Chats. If you guys want to send in any Super Chats, now would be the time. Now would be the time. But until then, we can look in regular chat. We'll go for another 5 minutes or so. But it was a good call-in show. We're going to be doing a call-in show at least like twice a month, ideally. Dollar for Dollars, his thoughts on Liberty University. It's a conservative school. It's kind of what it's known for being. I have nothing against it. I will say that we need to be taking over all institutions. If we have people that are capable people that get an offer from Harvard and reject it because it's indoctrination, which it is, but, you know, if some liberal professor is really going to change your political views, like I honestly think that's overblown. It really is. Like, it is true that college grads tend to vote more Democrat than non-college grads, but I feel like I think it's a cultural thing more so than, oh, this person went to college and this person didn't. So we need people that are in those fields. We need people that are controlling society the way the left does. We need that on our side. If we're able to do that, we're going to have a much easier time taking back the country. Dustin Carner says if Trump gets 15 to 20% of the black vote, Georgia is at least R plus 3 to 5. I mean, it probably wouldn't be 3 to 5, but if he's getting 15%, he's going to be very hard pressed to lose the state. I think he would win it. I think he's going to win it just because of turnout dipping. Machon Go says last minute love for Rep. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So there you go. Let's see. The problem isn't changing political views, it's forming political views. Well, there's an argument to be made that a lot of the older generations have dropped the ball because a lot of their kids ended up being liberal. How exactly does that make sense? Why are they not instilling values on their children? You know, you should be doing it. The left says it like it's a bad thing. Oh, well, these conservatives try to instill their values on their own kids. It's like you're supposed to do that. They do it. They're fine with it, you know. Sam Madsen says, can Trump flip Summit County, Ohio? That's the one that went for Biden by like 7. I don't think he flips it. I think it could be closer. I think that Ohio will move to the right as a whole, but I don't think Summit itself will flip. I think you'll see a lot of that part of the state move to the right, though, for sure. And there's that. So, yep, there we go. I think that that's going to be the end of the show. Make sure you guys like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video or live stream. I'll see you guys in the next one, but we have one more super chat, or 2 more super chats. Dustin Carner says a lot of Gen X parents took a very hands-off approach. Well, their kids are likely more conservative than the boomers' kids. So there's that, depending on where in the generations it is. John Waffle H2P says, you think college is a scam? It's a scam if you're going for, I guess you would say, like, gender studies or one of those humanities departments or whatever. Like, yeah, it can be a scam, but if you're capable of being successful and having a successful job, you need to go to college. I feel like you should. honestly, just because it's liberal, if your views are changed by your professor, you probably weren't going to make it anyways. And a good chunk of college kids are technically conservative. A lot of them don't vote, though, which is a problem. That's why we talk about the whole voting, like, registration. Democrats now are rolling it back. The democracy people are against higher turnout now because they're afraid that it's going to help Trump. And we have a lot more super chats on the way, so we're not going anywhere just yet. Andrew Mortensen says, I think Trump has a shot at Minnesota this time. Depends on the third-party vote share. I've been saying this. He's not going to win it if it's very low, but you could see a big swing because it is elastic when you have, third parties in there. And Minnesota likes third parties, and there's a big Muslim population there that voted against Biden in the primary, so it's important to watch. Ebenezer Cooge says that TOS guy's a total clown. Well, now I think we know who's behind that account. Bobby Walters says, just because, $10. Thank you. BRGRS says, thoughts on voting for Brad Johnson in the Montana Senate primary. The guy's got like $10,000 on hand. It's kind of a waste. Sheehy's going to be the nominee. Might as well just not make it too difficult for him because we need to knock off John Tester. Merck IWNL says, thoughts on Trump taking a moderate position on abortion. I think electorally it's smarter, but policy-wise, I'm pro. Well, policy-wise, he's pro-life as well. I mean, this is the guy that overturned Roe v. Wade. He gave the pro-life movement their biggest victory in decades, but now they're in shambles. They don't know how to message properly. They're not doing a very good job. Yeah, I think taking a moderate position electorally speaking is not a problem. I mean, he's always kind of been that way. If he wants to say that we're not going to pass a national ban, leave it up to the states, Biden's issue is off the table completely. So we'll see. I think that's going to determine a lot more than like the whole, I guess you would say, these trials or any personal baggage, all those arguments. Andrew Mortensen says, love you, bro, just because. Have a good night. Thank you. We got a lot of last-minute super chats. They're extending the stream, but hey. Sam Madsen says, do you still think Biden flips Collin County? Probably not. I think it could move to the left, but I don't think he's going to necessarily flip it. If he does, I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't think he would flip Tarrant, even though I underestimated Trump in Texas in 2020 by a little bit. Dova Budgie 100 says, Stalinists killed Dodge. Dustin Carner says, do you really think Republicans flip Nevada's Senate seat this year? Yeah, I think they will, actually. I think that they're going to end up with more than 52 because the map is so wide open. Dustin, we did that one. Hi, sir, says, just got a Trump ad on your vid. Well, that's good. Thoughts on Hogan? Well, I'd vote for him if I was in Maryland, but I don't particularly care too much. He's not going to win, and he is a rhino, so... David 14 12 4 Abel or whatever sent 5. Thank you. Ebenezer Cooge for $20 says, hi, this is Ebenezer Cooge. I'm a man of the people. Here is $20. Go buy yourself something nice, son, and keep donating to Donald John America, everybody. Thank you. Dova Budgie 100 says, Trump's got to stop this electric vehicle nightmare. Everybody sending super chats. This is the super chat blitz. If I didn't read that last super chat, we wouldn't have gotten all these. Jazz Truckin' for 5 says, hit the like button. Let's get rep to 1K. Yeah, hit the like button. We're almost there. We're 44 away. BRGRS says, I really don't like the fact that she is handpicked by McConnell and the rest of the establishment Republicans. Well, there's been a lot of decent senators that have been over the years. I hope he's in that camp more so than the total shill camp. But McConnell's going to be gone. Sheehy was really the recruit by Daines. He's been friends with Daines. He's donated to Daines. He's more of a Daines-esque figure than a McConnell type figure. Bobby Walter for 5 says, Stellantis murdering Dodge is nothing compared to the current regime, but a valid example. I'm not entirely sure what this is referring to. Oh, the car thing, I think. I think, oh yeah, you're right. That's the brand or the parent company that formed by a merger. That's Yeah, I don't know what the ins and outs of it are, but the auto industry thing is helping Trump out. Commander Video says, I'm the best mod. Thank you for the $2. I think that might be it. This will be the very last call. We are going to be ending the show very shortly. We've been going on for an hour and 43 minutes. So there is that. But we like going live early. We like doing both, the early streams and the late streams. But I think this 9 p.m. Eastern time slot is probably the happy medium for both of them. I will be live on Tuesday. We don't have any primaries. The next primary will be Pennsylvania on April 23rd. But I will be going live on Tuesday, so be there. Random commenter says, can Larry Hogan win Maryland? Probably not. I know he's up in the polls, but so is Sherrod Brown, so is Tim Sheehy. I think all three of them lose, or not Tim Sheehy, John Tester. But I think all three of those candidates lose. Dustin Carner says, what margin does Trump win? Alaska, Nevada, Montana, Wisconsin, and Florida by? Well, just giving the margins off the top of my head, I'd go 13 to 20 2 and 7, give or take. So there's that. Some people might disagree, and that's fine, but that's going to be it. We will be ending the show. Like the stream down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.